And it's been another week. Today we're going to talk about locations because it is the cross to bear of every independent producer. You want your production to have a little bit of scope, it means you need to take place in a few different places. And every episode of Pops, except for the first one, has had a really difficult to find location. The first one didn't because there were so very few locations. That's when Tim and Ryan, producers, pulled me aside and were like, look, we can't just shoot a show against a series of blank white walls. That's not going to look great. And so I started to expand the scope of the show. Let's take a look at the hard to find locations real quick. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 10. 10 had a couple that really put me through the ringer. Today we're going to talk mostly about the hospital though. So there were several updates where I couldn't tell you what location I was looking for, but that I talked about this location. I ended up writing into episode 10 some things that I had no idea what I was asking for.
Yeah.
A certain location, that's the hospital. For example, first came back to us quoting us $7,000 per day. Now that was a real hospital. I said in that update that I contacted like 40 some locations about this, which is true. Sending out a bunch of emails, trying to find the right PR person to call because every business, at least like a hospital style business, has a PR department. And most hospitals just would not even return the message because hospitals, for the most part, they would lose money based on what we could pay them for a hospital room. Just like putting a patient in there with insurance, without insurance, they're gonna end up getting more money for that patient than they would for us shooting. So I tried hospitals in nice neighborhoods, I tried hospitals in not so nice neighborhoods. Across the board, it was really difficult. I finally got in touch with a hospital that had a closed wing that they were gonna renovate but hadn't gotten around to renovating it yet. That was the hospital that was like $7,000 per day. Once he understood the scope of our production, we were a much smaller web production, I was able to talk him down to $3,000 for 2 days, which was great. And if that was where we were gonna end up, that was where we were gonna end up. However, we finally have a lead on a location I'm going to see on Wednesday that would be $500 for the same amount of time. Outside of Chicago by like an hour, little over an hour drive away from Chicago, is a town called DeKalb, and DeKalb has a really good nursing school. And they had a lab that simulated what a hospital bed laden room would be like. They had a series of monitors that we could bring and to be the EKG monitor and stuff, and like a lot of hospital-y looking things, so we only had to rent certain things instead of trying to fill the space with all of this rented hospital gear, because you can rent a bunch of like hospital looking stuff, which we did. I went out there to look at it. My contact over there sounded optimistic, I was optimistic, and then you just needed to talk to the board came back, I talked about that in the update the week following. That location is almost locked. Just waiting to hear from production insurance to upgrade our general aggregate, because this location that we were talking about wants, you know, 1 million per occurrence, 3 million aggregate. And our current policy, we're covered for 1 million per occurrence general liability, 2 million aggregate, so we need to up that to 3 million. So I'm just waiting to hear back on that, then I can submit that contract, done most of the paperwork already, complete the paperwork, sign it, get it back to them, and hopefully be shooting there next Saturday. All of that takes a lot of time. This is why you have to start prepping for a shoot like months in advance if you're trying to get like a hard to find location like this. I had it to where I set up, broken down in the script, 8 pages of scenes. 2 4 to 5 hour days or 1 8 to 10 hour day. Once all of the paperwork went through, that location I've been talking about for weeks, finally signed a contract on it today. Yes. Then we only had to rent certain props. There's a couple places in Chicago. Zap Props is really good. A place called Probabilities on the north side. Zap Props on the south side. We had to stop at both places in order to cobble together enough gear to fill the space with. At the nursing school, they had like a simulated EKG monitor, and I was like, okay, now can you give me a shockable rhythm, like tachycardic, give me the flat line, and all this stuff, so I could put it on the monitor that was next to the bed in After Effects, which I did, which took actually a lot longer than I thought it was going to because of how much the camera moved. And we were using a lot of the fluorescence, which had a greenish tinge, so trying to just pull out the green screen was a many-hour process. It worked out in the end, as everything always does. If you pour enough time into it, you can make something work out. They also had a series of dummies that the nursing students would work on that could kind of respond in certain ways. And so while Ryan was running around getting various shots, this one dummy in the bed took a breath. And Ryan was like, which was hilarious. It was awesome. You can see we have all this gear that we rented. Heading to set. How do you feel?
Nervous, if I'm gonna be honest.
And then after the shoot. So we shot the scene.
Yeah.
We got that location taken care of. How was it for you? Amazing. And there were a couple people in the comments who noticed, I guess I know what that location was because Jake, who plays Jonas, is wearing a hospital bracelet. And Brent, who was helping us on this episode, Brent Kutz, he actually works in hospital IT. He was trying to get us to help us out, but nothing could match the rates that these were doing. But he made us a real hospital bracelet with a scannable barcode that if you scan the barcode, POPS 10 would pop up on the screen and everything. He also got us some of the IV lines from Jonas laying in bed and all that stuff. So it was a huge team effort to get that location together, and it worked out. But you just have to plan so far in advance. That was our hard location this time, was the hospital. At the end of the day, with enough work, enough legwork, and enough trips out, you gotta drive to see a location, drive to see this location, talk to somebody for, with enough legwork, it all worked out. Thank you guys, I hope you guys have a good week. Here's a couple videos, 2 weeks ago's update, how I was doing all this work on one of Rob Scallon's videos. That's the Trooper video, and here is me breaking down one of the VFX that I did in the Trooper video. That's the Pops logo. I hope you guys have a good week, and I will see you later.